निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। वंशी विभूषितकरा नवनीरदाभा पीताम्बरादरुणबिम्बफलाधरोष्ठा पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि त्वमहं न जाने। नीलाम्बुजश्यामलकोमलाङ्गं सीतासमारोपितवामभागं पाणो महासायक चारुचापं नमामि रामं रघुवंशनाथं नमामि रामं रघुवंशनाथं। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय हरये परमात्मने प्रणतक्लेशनाशाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। हे मेरे गुरुदेव करुणा सिंधु करुणा कीजिए। हे मेरे गुरुदेव करुणा सिंधु करुणा कीजिए। अधम आधीन अशरण अवशरण में लीजिए। अधम आधीन अशरण अवशरण में लीजिए। खा रहा गोते हूँ मैं भव सिंधु के मझधार में। खा रहा गोते हूँ मैं भव सिंधु के मझधार में। आसरा है एक बाकी और बस अभिमान है। हे मेरे गुरुदेव करुणा सिंधु करुणा कीजिए। अधम आधीन अशरण अवशरण में लीजिए। मुझ में है जप तप न साधन और नहीं कुछ ज्ञान है। मुझ में है जप तप न साधन और न कुछ ज्ञान है, निर्लज्जता है एक बाकी और बस अभिमान है, निर्लज्जता है एक बाकी और बस अभिमान है। हे मेरे गुरुदेव करुणा सिंधु करुणा कीजिए, अधम आधीन अशरण अब शरण में लीजिए। पाप बोझ से लदी नैया भंवर में आ रही, पाप बोझे से लदी नैया भंवर में आ रही, नाथ दौड़ो अब बचाओ जल्द डूबे जा रही, नाथ दौड़ो अब बचाओ जल्द डूबे जा रही। हे मेरे गुरुदेव करुणा सिंधु करुणा कीजिए। भटक कर ले शरण प्रभु आपकी, सब जगह मैंने भटक कर ले शरण प्रभु आपकी, गुरुदेव करुणा सिंधु करुणा कीजिए, अधम आधीन अशरण अब शरण में लीजिए। ओम गणपते नमो नमः, सिद्धि विनायक नमो नमः, अष्ट विनायक नमो नमः, गणपति बापा मोरया। ओम गणपते नमो नमः, सिद्धि विनायक नमो नमः, अष्ट विनायक नमो नमः, गणपति बापा मोरया। ओम गणपते नमो नमः, सिद्धि विनायक नमो नमः, अष्ट विनायक नमो नमः, गणपति बापा मोरया। ओम गणपते नमो नमः, सिद्धि विनायक नमो नमः, अष्ट विनायक नमो नमः, गणपति बापा मोरया। ओम गणपते नमो नमः, सिद्धि विनायक नमो नमः, अष्टविनायक नमो नमः। गणपति बाप्पा मोरिया। ॐ गणपते नमो नमः। सिद्धिविनायक नमो नमः। अष्टविनायक नमो नमः। गणपति बाप्पा मोरिया। ॐ गणपते नमो नमः। सिद्धिविनायक नमो नमः। अष्टविनायक नमो नमः। गणपति बाप्पा मोरिया। ॐ गणपते नमो नमः। सिद्धिविनायक नमो नमः। अष्टविनायक नमो नमः। गणपति बाप्पा मोरिया। ॐ गणपते नमो नमः। सिद्धिविनायक नमो नमः। अष्टविनायक नमो नमः। गणपति बाप्पा मोरिया। गणपति बाप्पा मोरिया। गणपति बाप्पा मोरिया। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः।
Welcome to Satsang. Let's begin with a short meditation together. So just find a position that's comfortable for you to sit in. One in which your back is straight but not rigid. And most importantly, one in which your breath can flow freely. Draw the awareness to your breath. Feel all of your organs of sensation and perception that are usually focused outward. Feel them all pull from the outer world to the inner world. Take a moment and just witness what it is like right here, right now, to be you. Don't judge, don't analyze, simply witness it. What is it like to be you in this breath? allow the awareness to pull deeper into the breath itself until it feels that the awareness merges into the breath as it flows in and flows out. If thoughts come, or sounds come, or other sensations come, don't fight them off, but don't allow them to hijack your awareness. Just imagine them as wispy clouds that blow across a blue sky on a windy day. Keep drawing the awareness back to your breath. As you inhale, as you fill your being with the sacred breath, notice as you inhale whether there's parts of the body that the breath easily flows into, and are there parts it doesn't flow so easily into. Are there parts that seem really open and free, and other parts that seem constricted or contracted? Again, don't analyze, don't judge, don't think of reasons why. Simply notice it. As the breath goes to those places, so does your awareness. And in the places that feel constricted or contracted, or the places it feels the breath just doesn't go, see whether as you sit consciously present with the breath, merged into the breath, whether you can't draw it freely and spaciously into all of those places. If you find that your mind still wanders, you can add a gentle mantra with this. You can chant, "So hum. So on the inhalations, hum on the exhalations. It means I am that. I am one with all of creation. I am one with the Creator. I am one with that to whom I pray. One with that upon which I meditate. I am all. I am that. So hum. So hum. Allow that awareness to stay with the breath. As it flows in and out like waves of the ocean. Gently bring the palms together at chest level and rub them gently against each other. Press the palms of your hands into your closed eyes. Slowly open your eyes and lower your hands. Welcome to Satsang. So, before we take a question, usually on the holidays, the holy days, I share about that holiday in the Arti. What does it mean? How do we bring it into our lives? Today, because of the nature of the holiday and the imminent celebration of it on our Ghat that we held with great difficulty at bay in the the street not to come down when the Arti was going on, I thought, well, we'll talk about it in Satsang instead of in the Arti. So today marks the conclusion of the 10-day festival of Ganeshji. We celebrated Ganesh Chaturthi, and then 10 days later, now we have Ganesh Visurjan. Now, it's celebrated in different ways throughout the country. But to me, what matters most, especially as our satsang family comes from so many different cultures and traditions and religions and backgrounds, is the question is always, so what does that mean to me? Like if I'm not Indian or I'm not Hindu or I don't worship Ganesh, what does that mean for me? Because if something is truth, maybe those of you by the door want to come in just a little bit. It'll just make it a little bit easier for people who come in. Yeah, no problem. So if something is truth, it's going to be truth that's applicable regardless of what country you were born in, regardless of what name or form of God you worship. It's going to be true regardless of whether you're rich or poor or black or white. Otherwise, it's not truth in the complete sense. And so when we look at these holidays and ceremonies and meanings, it's always about, okay, what's the real truth here that applies to people who may not even be of this tradition, of this religion, of this culture? So Ganeshji is the god who is worshipped as the one who removes our obstacles. He's prayed to before anything else. If you go to a lot of Indians' homes, you'll see there's a Ganeshji right in the doorway. Keep this home free of obstacles. If we're going to embark on a new job, a new career, a marriage, any new endeavor, a new home, a new office, we have Ganesh Puja. Also, if we're doing any type of other ceremony, other type of puja, we always begin with Ganesh Puja, or at least the Ganesh mantras. So in the Arti, for example, even before we do the Arti, we have the Ganesh mantras. The remover of obstacles, the divine manifestation of new beginnings. And so 10 days ago, we celebrate his arrival, his appearance on earth, in our home, however we conceptualize it. And then it's believed that for 10 days, he stays with us in our home. All over India, 10 days ago, people made homemade Ganesh murtis. And then it's believed that after 10 days, he leaves. And on that day, they take those murtis, hopefully made of nothing but organic clay, and immerse them into a body of water. Now, from a standpoint of meaning and significance and truth, well, first of all, when we think about Ganesh, he's never gone. When we think about any manifestation of the divine, there's so many stories associated with each of the divine manifestations of how they came onto earth, how they left. But they're not actually gone. It's not a matter of, oh, Ganeshji's gone. That divine blessing, that divine presence regardless of whether we're talking about Lord Krishna, Lord Ram, Lord Shiva, Hanuman, I mean, any of the Divine Mother, any of the divine manifestations who came onto earth in form and had a certain period of time that they were here on earth, and then they no longer were here on earth in form. But God is with us. God doesn't go anywhere, clearly. Otherwise it wouldn't be God. And so when we talk about all of the different manifestations, it's really important to realize that what we're looking at is an energy of auspiciousness. So when we talk, for example, about the Trinity of Brahma as the creator and Vishnu as the sustainer, and therefore the incarnations of Vishnu as Lord Krishna, Lord Ram, all of the incarnations of Vishnu, and then Lord Shiva as the destroyer or dissolver. We're talking about different energies. It's not that there's 3 gods or dozens of gods or tens of thousands of gods. It's an energy of creation, an energy of sustenance, and an energy of dissolution. You look at nature, for example. Look at a tree. So a tree has beautiful green leaves that come out. Maybe that tree gives us apples. You can call that the energy of creation. For a while, those green leaves and apples live there, provide oxygen, provide water, provide nourishment, depending on the type of tree, to humans, to animals. We'll call that the energy of sustenance. And then, come October, November time in most parts of the world, those green leaves turn yellow and brown. And they fall to the earth. No more apples. Winter comes. So we'll call that an energy of dissolution. But here's what's beautiful about it. Those leaves that have been, quote unquote, destroyed, fall to the earth. They're covered with snow. They become the fertile soil in which the seeds, the blossoms of springtime, come. So it's a cycle. It's not linear. It's not a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's an energy of creation, an energy of sustenance, an energy of dissolution. Cycles of nature. And so when we're speaking about any of the divine manifestations, when we talk about Lord Ganesh, that presence of auspiciousness, that presence of remover of obstacles, of new beginnings, that presence is always here. And it's beautiful for us at this time. For me, one of the most deep aspects of this holiday is, well, all right, so what are the obstacles in my life? And it's not about, oh, Lord Ganesh, would you please do something about my mother-in-law? Or, oh, Lord Ganesh, would you do something about my boss because she's driving me crazy? Or, oh, Lord Ganesh, this traffic, it's not that. I mean, I'm sure some people do pray to Ganeshji for that, but that's not the actual meaning. The actual meaning is, what are the obstacles in my life? And what you realize when you look at them is, I'm actually the creator of the obstacles in my life. I didn't create my mother-in-law's personality or my boss's personality or the other cars on the highway, but I've created my reaction to them. I've created a mindset that says, this is what I want, this is how I want it, this is the way I like it. And when things don't go according to that, I create another obstacle, which is anger, frustration, non-acceptance. I won't take this. This isn't okay. That's the obstacle. The obstacle is not the presence of someone's personality. The obstacle is how I react to that. And so it's a beautiful holiday to really ask ourselves, all right, what are the obstacles in my life? What am I struggling with? And how can I pray to the energy of auspiciousness, the energy of removal of obstacles, to help clear me of my attachment to how I think things should be, of my ego that says how I think they should be is the right way. Because of course, we very rarely say, this is just how I like it, but I realize that you may like it a different way. Or this is how I think it should be done, but I realize you may have a completely different picture. Usually it's, this is how I think it should be done, and I'm right. This is how I like it, and I'm right. And so we use this time to say, all right, where is my ego creating obstacles? Is whether we're eating Chinese or Thai for dinner, or how the dishwasher is loaded, or how we do things in the house, or how this report actually gets prepared or presented, is that really the obstacle? Or is the obstacle my reaction to it? Is the obstacle really someone else's words or attitude or actions? Or is the obstacle my reaction to it, my attachment to how I think it should be? And so today, as we have the Visarjan means immersion, the part about that I like is, especially when we immerse in Ganga, which I don't like anything physical actually getting immersed in Ganga, but the symbolism of it is something I love, because Ganga is the purifier. Ganga is the mother goddess, here in the form of the river, but she's the goddess, she's the purifier. That's why people come from all over the world to have a bath in her waters. It's why people bring ashes of a loved one to immerse in her waters, so that departed soul may be purified and therefore attain oneness with God. So she's the purifier. So instead of immersing an actual idol that's going to pollute the water, immerse that which is actually creating obstacles in us. Give Ganga your attachments, give Ganga your anger, give Ganga your jealousy, give Ganga your ego. She can take it, and that doesn't pollute her. Pollutes us. It's an interesting irony. It sits in us, it pollutes us, but she can take it and it doesn't pollute her at all. And we become free. And so tonight is the night of that energy, of auspiciousness, an energy of new beginnings, an energy of immersion. And so ask yourself, what is it I need to immerse? What is it I need to be free of? What is it I'm holding on to? Some identity from the past, some drama, some story I tell myself about who I am and what life is and how it should be and the type of person I am. All those stories, immerse them in Ganga. And pray to Lord Ganesh, or pray to whatever the name or the form or the no name or no form, it doesn't matter. Whatever that divine energy of auspiciousness is for you, to help you really give it. So those of us who love Lord Ganesh would say, oh Lord Ganesh, please help me give my ego to Ganga. Please help me give my attachment to Ganga. Please help me overcome my attachment to how things should be in the office, in the home, in this relationship. Help me help me remove that obstacle. And then we're so blessed because all over the world people are celebrating Ganesh Visurjan today. But only a handful of us are blessed enough to be on the banks of Ganga. And so we've got this double blessing of the energy of auspiciousness, the energy of immersion, and actually being on the banks of the river, who is the purifier. So, with that short talk about the holiday today, I will go to a question that's come to us in advance. And as always, I take a question or two from in advance and then open it up to any questions that anyone here may have. And for those of you for whom it's your first time in satsang, there's no such thing as a wrong question. So a lot of times people will rush up to me afterwards and say, God, I wanted to ask this, but I was just so embarrassed. I thought this is really such a stupid question or such a silly question or the wrong type of question. There is no silly or stupid question. And the only wrong question is a question that you ask just to hear yourself speak. Meaning, a lot of times we get stuck in our intellectual minds as a way of avoiding feeling in our hearts, as a way of avoiding dropping into the truth of who we are. So if I can not understand something, if I can have an intellectual question, it keeps me from dropping into the heart. And so nothing wrong with intellectual questions. I don't mind them at all. Just make sure that it's that whatever the question is, that it's a real question for you. And it's not just an escape that allows you to stay in your mind and keep you from dropping in your heart. So many great questions. What are the benefits of going into silence? So, Pujya Swamiji, my guru, the head of Parmarth Niketan, observes 14 hours of silence a day. 10 at night to 10 in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. In earlier phases of his life, he went into periods of silence up to over a year and a half. 40 days was pretty standard, the turn of the season several times a year. So silence is something that we encourage a lot here. Taking vows of silence is something that's very, very core to the Indian spiritual tradition, to the Vedic traditions. Now, first of all, it's important to understand that silence doesn't just mean mouth is closed. That helps. That's sort of a non-negotiable aspect of it. But that's the beginning, not the end. It's not just an absence of speaking. It's actually also an absence of a refraining from other types of noise that keep us from experiencing the fullness of silence. A lot of us think of silence as just an absence of noise. If you say, oh, it's really silent, what it means is there is no noise. But silence within ourself is not an absence of noise. It's actually a presence of divinity. It's a presence of experienced bliss and peace and divine presence that we can't hear most of the time because there's too much noise. There's too much noise of our own voices. There's too much noise of our heads planning what we're going to say next. There's too much noise of the TVs we're listening to or whatever we're listening to. There's too much noise of the conversations we're having. And so we can't actually drop into the truth. And so when we observe silence, it's not, I'm in silence, but yeah, you can just jabber away at me. It's, I'm in silence, dropping as deeply as I can into the truth of who I am. And so you don't always have to go into a cave to be silent. In fact, Pujya Swamiji emphasizes that in our homes, everyone, married people, parents, should observe silence at least an hour a day, not while you're sleeping. Because it does many things. So first of all, what it does is it gives us an opportunity to experience actually the fullness within ourselves. And it doesn't mean that nobody can talk to you. If you have a child or a spouse who needs to tell you something important, no problem. But it really is an invitation to others in the home, in the office place, to curtail unnecessary conversation around you, to support that silence that you are in. And what it does is it gives us that experience of the fullness within. It also gives us an incredible teaching of how to grab the space between a thought and an action. How many people here have ever said something that you later regret? Raise your hand. Has anybody not ever said something that you later regret? Okay, right, so unanimous. So, how does that happen? You think later, oh, that wasn't me, and we have to go back to people and say, oh, I'm sorry, that wasn't what I meant. Wo mera matlab nahi tha. Well, you said it. If it wasn't what you meant, why did you say it? Like, who was in charge of your brain at that moment that something you didn't mean managed to come out of your mouth? Who else is in there pulling the strings, making you say things that you don't mean? What silence gives us is a teaching and a practice of having a choice before we speak. Because what happens when you go into silence, at least the first few days of it, even if you're in a long extended silence, the first few days, the mind will think of something to say. It'll think of what you're going to say next, what you have to tell someone. And then automatically you'll say, oh wait, I'm in silence, I can't. Or somebody will do something and you'll be about to say something to them. And then you realize, oh, wait, I'm in silence. And so you stop. And that teaching is incredibly profound because what it teaches you, if you practice silence for long enough, even if it's just an hour a day, if you do it enough days in a row, is, oh, wait, I actually have a choice. Those words were about to come out of my mouth, but then I remembered I was in silence. And so I stopped them, which means I actually have much more control and consciousness than I utilize on a daily basis. And so it gives us an opportunity in our lives to also grab that space. Even if I'm not in silence at this moment, do I really want to say that? Does that need to be said? In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna speaks about the righteous speech, tapas of speech. And he says it needs to be three things. In order for something to be considered dharmic speech, it must be true, of course, but it must also be kind and beneficial. And I've heard other teachers of other traditions add a fourth to that, which is, it must improve upon the silence. And so before we speak, it's a beautiful practice to really ask yourself, is this true? Is it kind? Is it beneficial? And 2 out of 3 doesn't count. And also, does it improve upon the silence? And if not, to be silent. But being silent is something very, very difficult for most of us, particularly those of us from abroad. You sit in an environment with people, and everybody feels, if there's 30 seconds of silence, suddenly people become very uncomfortable. Everybody's looking around, somebody think of something to say, like this is really uncomfortable. In India, that doesn't exist at all. I've been in 6-hour car rides between here and Delhi with a car full of people, pretty much no one of whom says a word for 6 hours. People who love each other, family members, friends, but just nothing to say that improves upon the silence. And so the practice of silence gives us that teaching. We lose a lot in speech. You lose a lot of energy. So if you're fasting, for example, if you're not eating, one of the teachings of fasting is you should also try to be as silent as you can, because speaking uses a lot of energy. And if you're not taking in food, careful how you use your energy. We learn it at high altitudes. You go on a high altitude trek. We go to Kailash Mansarovar. You go to Badrinath, Kedarnath, where you're short of oxygen. Speak less. You're unnecessarily using energy. If you're dehydrated, speak less. You're literally spitting out water molecules along with your breath. So silence rejuvenates and recharges us on many, many, many levels. Don't think, though, it's empty. It's full. And that's why it's such a beautiful experience, is when you allow yourself to really drop into it, you'll experience a fullness of the self that we don't usually get to experience because there's so much noise going on. And it's amazing because we then go to places, to courses, to retreats, to things to find silence, without realizing that actually, if I could just quiet the noises in my own head. There's a great demonstration. Chalo, we'll do interactive satsang here for a moment. So I'm going to divide the room in half right here. So if you're on this side of the camera, you're group 1. Okay, raise your hand if you're group 1. Great. This side of the camera, you're group 2. Raise your hand if you're group 2. Great. Okay. So group 1, your job is to chant Om. On the count of 3, let's hear you practice. Just group 1. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. Group 2, your job is to make as much noise, ruckus, the exact antithesis of what you think should happen here in satsang. Really go all out. Make as much ruckus, and I'm counting on our youngsters over here especially for it, as much ruckus as you possibly can on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Great. Great. Exactly. Now on the count of 3, the 2 groups are going to go at the same time. And then if I raise my hand on your side, it means you become quiet. I raise my hand over here, they become quiet. I raise my hand over here, they become quiet. Okay? Count of 3, everybody together, both groups together. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Group 1. Did you start chanting Om only when these guys became quiet, or were you chanting the whole time? Could anybody hear them? Why?
I couldn't hear myself.
Yep. Exactly. Too much noise. But the solution is not that we take this ruckus and go out in search of Om. Peace, quiet, divine connection, stillness. This is what most of us do. We take our ruckus, the ruckus in our mind, because this is what most of our minds sound like. We take the ruckus of our minds and we go out in search of peace, of Om. All we have to do is learn how to quiet the ruckus in our mind. That's what our spiritual practice is about. That's why we meditate. That's why we pray. That's why we do seva. That's why we observe silence. That's why we do all of these spiritual practices. Is because they quiet the ruckus. That's why we do our mantra jap, chanting. It quiets this so that the truth of who we are, which is this, emerges into our consciousness. It's always been there, but that's why I say silence is actually full. It's full of Om. It's full of peace. It's full of truth. It's full of divine connection. It's just absent of ruckus. So before I take another question that's come in advance, I'm happy to open it up if there are any questions that anyone here has. Okay, well, I'm going to take another one that's come in advance and then give you another opportunity after that. I want to be a good person and do good things, but instead I find myself doing things that prove I'm bad and unworthy. How do I get past my fear of peace and joy? How do I truly give myself to God? So this is one of the most tragic ironies of most of our experience here on earth. I've noticed it a lot more with people from the West than people from India. There seems to be, and this is of course a massively broad overgeneralization, but nonetheless it's what I've paid attention to and seen over the 23 years I've been here, is that there seems to be in India much more of an awareness in people of the core value of who they are simply because they took birth, of that core connection to God, of the core kindness of God for them, their deservingness of God's kindness. There's, in the West, an epidemic of an internal sense of I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not rich enough. I'm not even on a deep level pure enough. I mean, superficially we just get I'm not, thin enough or beautiful enough or funny enough or whatever. But it goes much deeper. I'm not worthy enough. I'm not worthy of God's love. I'm not worthy of God's connection. I'm not pure enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not divine enough. And it's tragic. It reminds me actually of a story that Jack Kornfield, a very famous Buddhist meditation teacher in America, tells of a meeting that he and some very small handful of other American Buddhist meditation teachers had with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And one of the meditation teachers asked His Holiness, how can we help people overcome self-hatred? And it took His Holiness's translator 10 minutes to even explain semantically to His Holiness what self and hatred mean in the same word. And His Holiness's English is actually quite good. But the confusion of these two words going together literally took 10 minutes with the translator to even understand what the guy had asked. And His Holiness then said, thinking that it was some really obscure, kind of non-relevant sort of question, says to this group of teachers, well, how frequently do you find this in your students? And they all looked at each other and were like, all the time? And His Holiness then said, well, have any of you ever experienced this self-hatred? And they all went. And what I love about that story, and there are several others like that, is it helped me coming from the West, and certainly someone who experienced and struggled with feeling not enough, and struggled with self-hatred, a feeling like, oh yeah, okay, so here's an interesting cultural divide. Because there's also stories, I won't tell them all here, but there's also stories of other enlightened, amazing Eastern teachers from the Buddhist tradition, from the Hindu tradition, who have had similar types of experiences and stories with disciples, devotees, students from the West to experience this. There is something ingrained in way too many of us that because we are unworthy, and it's actually inherently unworthy. It's this sense that I have to do something to become worthy. And if I don't, I'm not worthy. Now, some of it, not to put blame on parents by any means, all parents are just doing the very best they can, but it's important to be conscious. Some of it comes in parenting styles. So we say things to our children, meaning well and meaning to just teach them some discipline, like, your room is a mess. You're a bad boy. Oh, you cleaned up your room. That's great. Your mama's good boy. Now, something as small and innocuous as cleaning a room becomes a lesson of I am good or bad, worthy of mom's love or not worthy of mom's love. In one case, I get a spanking or certainly not a hug. In another case, I get a hug, a lap, maybe some freshly baked cookies. So I'm worthy of love based on something I've done. And whether it's a clean room, whether it's a grade in school, whether it's some other achievement or lack thereof. As parents, we give and withdraw our love based on what our children do, much more than we should. Discipline is important, of course, but it has to be, or it should be, a form of discipline in which they understand, I love you, and your room needs to be clean. because I'm not going to wash that. Since you didn't even wear it, you just pulled it out of your closet and threw it on the floor. That's a waste of water. It's a waste of detergent. It's a waste of energy. Your room needs to be clean because then when you're looking for a sweater tomorrow, you're going to be late for school because you're not going to find your sweater under the pile of clothes. Your room needs to be clean because our minds function according to our surroundings. And when our surroundings are a mess, it tends to make our minds a little confused. So you can give them all kinds of reasons. No clean room, no dessert, no problem. But no clean room, no hugs. That's the problem. So one piece of it is parenting, but it's not only that. It's also an entire culture through advertising, through marketing, through so much of our cultural tradition that continues to ingrain in us. You're not enough. You're not good enough until and unless you buy this, wear that, do this, look like that, own this, achieve that. And so while we may not buy all the products that are advertised, we buy the message, which is who I am, isn't enough. And if we got it in our young childhood, especially if we come from a situation where we actually were abused or where we actually had parents who weren't able to give us the love that presumably they would have liked to be able to give us, parents who themselves were struggling with issues of self-love, parents with addictions, parents with other issues. We grow up feeling not worthy, because in our very first experience, we weren't worthy of love. And so what we then end up doing in life becomes much more problematic, is we end up recreating situations that allow us to live in alignment with that belief. So if I have a belief that says I'm unworthy, not good enough, I'm going to keep creating situations that prove to me that I'm not worthy. I'm not going to let myself be worthy, because as painful as it is not to feel worthy, that's a pain I know. I've been living with that for 30, 40, 60, 70 years. I know that pain. That's a pain that's part of my identity, so we're good. But the pain of actually experiencing worthiness means, oh my God, the way I've lived my whole life wasn't true. There was an alternative. There was an alternative of how to feel. There was an alternative of choices to make. And that's a really hard thing to do in our life, is to look back and realize, wow, the pattern, the drama, the story, the truth, the identity based upon which I have made all the choices that I made since I moved out of my parents' house are ones that I didn't have to make because they were made out of untruth. And that actually is much scarier for people than living with the same pain. And so we continue to recreate situations. Oh, you're just on the verge of succeeding, but you've got a pattern that says you're never going to succeed because at some point in your childhood someone said to you, you're stupid, you're worthless, you're never going to become anything. So that's your pattern? Because you had an elder sibling or cousin who was much smarter, much more productive than you were, and you were told you're never going to be like this one, he's the good one, she's the good one. That became your pattern. I'm the stupid one, I'm the lazy one, I'm the one who doesn't succeed. And so we live our lives by these. And now you're on the verge of success. And that ego voice in the mind says, wait, this is going to undo, it's going to unravel my entire sense of who I am. So as sweet as success is, it's not nearly sweet enough to unravel my entire identity and all the choices I've made throughout my life. So we keep doing it. And this is where courage is so important. What I love about courage is that the root of the word courage is the same root as the French word cœur, which means heart. And so courage is all about an open heart. And that's where it takes the courage to say, just as my parents, just as my society, just as whoever gave me this teaching was doing the best that they could, so I've done the best that I could throughout my life. I've done the best that I could with the patterns I had, the toolboxes I had. But now in this moment, in this brand new moment, this auspicious moment of a new beginning, I have a choice to do something different. I have the opportunity to actually see the truth. I have the opportunity to free myself of that pattern. And that's what we use our courage for, is to step into that unknown. What would life be like if I didn't think that I were a failure? What would life be like if I didn't think I was the stupid one or the worthless one or the lazy one? And give yourself an opportunity to find out. And it's never too late. It doesn't matter how old you are. Pujya Swamiji always says, whenever you wake up, it's morning. So whenever that moment is for you, and tonight's such a beautiful night because it's the auspicious time of Ganeshji, the God, the energy of new beginnings. Realize I'm not my pattern. There's not one cell in my body today, not one, that was abused, abandoned, betrayed, cheated, spanked. Assuming, of course, that only happened to you in childhood. There's not one cell of my body with me today to whom that happened in my childhood. Or even if it happened in my adulthood more than 7 or 8 years ago. Every single cell of the body sloughs and regenerates within 7 or 8 years. The skin cells, which are usually the ones that actually get physically injured if we've been physically injured, they slough off every few days. So who's the you who isn't worthy? Who's the you who was abused or abandoned or betrayed or told you're stupid? Where is that you? Doesn't exist. There was a child to whom these things happened. Allow yourself to feel compassion and love for that child, but to recognize that isn't you. There's not one cell of your body today that was there. So allow yourself to walk into a new way of being based on the real truth of who you are, which is divinity. Divinity inside. We are created not just by the Creator, but of the Creator. Which means that all of the properties of the divine Creator are the properties of us. Purity, light, peace, bliss, divinity. That's who we are at our core. Allow yourself to know that. And just keep walking, one foot in front of the other, every day. And you'll get there. You could get there tonight. Wonderful. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evening. And I will see you tomorrow. There will be satsang again tomorrow night, but then there won't be satsang for about a week. I'm leaving on the 14th morning and I'll be back only on the 21st. So we do have satsang tomorrow, but then we don't have satsang for about a week after.